Hello everyone, I'm Adya Shukla along with my batchmate Ananya Singh, and we shall be having a very insightful discussion with our special guest today, Kanishk Chaudhary. Kanishk, a BITS Pilani alumnus of 2018 to 2022 batch, he's going to pursue a master's degree in mechanical engineering from the prestigious institution of Stanford. He is skilled in multiple fields ranging from core mechanical to entrepreneurship to even product design and development. He has completed his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from BITS Pilani, and he made up his mind to go for an MS directly after it. Quite an unconventional path that he took. He also secured rank 1 in mechanical department, receiving a 100% merit scholarship from BITS. So let's go ahead with this discussion and learn more about his inspirational journey and his experiences. Hello Kanishk, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, so let's start with you telling us more about yourself. Tell us what made you choose engineering and BITS specifically. And were you into mechanical engineering from the start, or did you look at other branches too before joining?
So, I think my motivation of joining engineering was to just create something like I like to keep my hands dirty in various projects. So that was something which I've been doing in class 11th and 12th as well. So that was like my motivation for engineering. I chose BITS because I didn't really have an option. I didn't do well in JE, and like every other BITSian IIT Nima to BITS. So that was pretty much of joining BITS Pilani. And I initially joined in manufacturing. So in manufacturing branch, I kind of had the notion that I wanted to join Pilani campus specifically. And when I joined, I didn't have any branch inclinations as such. So my interest in mechanical really developed in my first year. I think courses like thermodynamics and workshop, I love those courses a lot, especially workshop because I got to build something, even if it was something small as creating a simple part, but it was something that was like really motivating for me. And so towards the end of my first year, then I decided, I want to get into mechanical and I shifted my branch.
Okay, so how was your life at BITS? Like, how was your hostel life and any like memorable experiences that you had in your hostel?
I guess it's my hostel life wasn't really as fun as a Gen Bitsin might have because in my first year I was not really part of any club or department, so I didn't have like that experience as such. It was like mostly spent in academics, like attending classes, studying in the library. That was mostly like in my first year. In my second year onwards, I wanted to do something outside of academics. Um, to develop my co-curriculars, extracurriculars. So in my second year, I kind of got my hands into entrepreneurship. There was this really good idea that my roommate had, and we decided to take it forward. Um, so yeah, my second year was mostly involved in academics and side by side pursuing this venture that we had. Towards the end of second year, starting of third year, I had an idea that I want to get into an MS um, in mechanical engineering. So my third year and my final year was mostly involved in working in different projects, internships, mostly related to mechanical.
Okay. So I have a question as a first year, right? Whenever we talk to a senior or some professor, so we usually come to a conclusion that academics has to be our priority. And as I can see that you manage your academics pretty well, and time management is something we all should know, and it's one of the most important skills. I want to know, I mean, in these 4 years, what were the different clubs, departments, or extracurriculars you were a part of? And how did you strike a balance between academics and your co-scholastic activities? Any tips for your juniors that you have?
So in my first year, I did not join anything in my first year because I thought, I wanted to first have a look at the academic load and just settling down in a new place in a new institution. So I kind of took those club departments light in my first year. From second year onwards, like of course I um, had an entrepreneurial venture to myself. We have a team of 5 people. Apart from that, I joined a tech team, ISRO. It was a new team started by my senior batch. So second year I've joined ISRO, and in terms of club departments, that was like pretty much it. As a suggestion for juniors, like it's good to join club departments. I feel that they, develop your soft skills and other skills which you can't really put in your CV or anywhere. But at the same time, don't like go overboard and join like 5, 6 because then you neither handle those club departments properly, neither you handle your accounts, so you're left nowhere. So like yeah, joining 1, 2 specific clubs and departments in which you feel that you can really develop as a person. That is what I'll suggest to like people in their first, second years.
Thank you. That was a very useful piece of advice. So, Ananya, do you have another question?
Yeah, so like I was really curious about this. What made you choose higher education like after your BTech instead of like going for work X or going for a job straight out of BTech? Because that's like a path that many people take. So what guided you through choosing higher education?
I think one important factor was my father's own experience. Like even he's an engineer, and what he has seen is like after a couple of years working, with a simple undergrad degree, there could be a career stall here and there. Like depends on which industry you're into. So in that case, like it's better to like have a higher degree. So that could like make you well qualified, like not just for the initial couple of years, but in your, let's say, next 10, 15 years. So that was one main motivation. The second was I had really specific interest within mechanical engineering. I wanted to work in areas of product design. Um, I had an internship in my end of third year, and that could have been converted into a PPO. But in that internship, I kind of realized that the skill sets I had in that field is not enough. So the mechanical engineering which we study in undergrad is kind of basic and vast. It covers like all areas. And every branch is wide in itself. Like there are like different subtopics which you can specialize in. And undergrad doesn't really, it gives you like a hint or a flavor of all these fields, but it does not make you specialize in one particular area. So I decided like one motivation of higher studies could be to specialize in that particular field. So the MS which I'm applying to has a specialization in design methods, and that is kind of related to what I'd like to do later on. So a higher study option can get you like more skilled in a particular field.
That's pretty insightful. I mean, yeah, so higher studies.
And deciding so early that you have to go into core mechanical, it's a decision people usually take a lot of time and usually think a lot and then take a decision like that. So you were already pretty clear about your direction. So after that, I would want to know, I mean, I know that PS1 is actually an industry oriented exposure which BITS try to offer to its students. So, which PS station did you opt for, and how did your PS1 and your summer internships contribute to your applications that you put in different colleges?
So my PS1 was in ISRO Space Application Center, and the project was mostly involved in designing and simulating a robot. So like PS1 is a good industry exposure, but at the same time, you don't do a lot of impactful work that you can, put in your CV for higher studies or anywhere. That is like the case with most PS stations. But at the same time, a PS1 is like a stepping stone to other opportunities which you can pursue. So like the PS option which BITS give is kind of impactful in the sense that no other university students of second year have that exposure, either an industry exposure or working in a real world project. So like we BitSins can use that PS1 experience in applying for third year internships or applying for fourth year thesis. And since it's a stepping stone, that third year or fourth year internship can help you land a good MS admit or good placement. So I believe that even for people who think that they're not doing enough impactful work in the PS1, they can use that exposure into their future opportunities within their 4 or 5 years.
It's amazing to know that your PS1 was at ISRO. So I'm curious about it. What did you actually do over there? Because I don't know much about mechanical engineering and what happens and what goes about it. So tell us a bit more about your experience at ISRO.
Okay, so what that Space Application Center was developing at that time is they want to like install antennas which are reconfigurable. So in India, like all the ground surface antennas which we have are they can move to a certain extent, but their parabolic shape remains the same. So the antenna which they want to develop, it has already been developed by NASA and by the Chinese agencies, and like they can change the parabolic shape to like reduce any surface errors which can arise like after a couple of years. So what I was involved in was mostly in the design. So to make the panel reconfigurable, I'm sorry if I'm getting into too much technical details, but that parabolic shape has a lot of panels inside, and each panel can move. So I designed like a single panel and kind of used like the methods and the formulas in robotics to make sure like how much the panel should move here and there to improve the shape. So it was a pretty good experience. I feel that as a second year, right, working on such a big project was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Okay, so my next question is about how did you prepare a profile for the universities you were targeting? Also, could you briefly explain the application process of Stanford?
Okay. So I'll first talk about like the profile which is required. So mostly I'll talk about MS in specific. Um, the things which are required the most, like if I say it in order, so the highest priority should be a CGPA. I think that's the thing which they see first. After CGPA, then next comes your statement of purpose and your letter of recommendation. Both of them have like almost equal weightage. And below that is the rest of your profile, which includes your internships, your research experience, if you have any publications, and all that. And then finally comes your test scores like GRE and TOEFL. For those, I feel that as long as you clear their minimum cutoff or the recommended score, then that's enough. Right? You don't need to target an extremely high score unless you want to kind of substitute it or offset it with a lower GPA. So if you have like a decent to high GPA, then just clearing the minimum requirement of test scores is enough. Yeah, so that was one part. And how the application process works is like I'll talk about the timeline in general. So you have your end of 3-2 and starting of summer. That's around May June period. In that period, you should have started with your GRE or TOEFL preparation already. And I recommend taking like the whole summer just to prepare for these two exams. You can take more time, it's okay, but towards October, you should be done with your scores. You should be done with your two tests. Then comes your 4-1. So starting off 4-1, you should be um, ready with your statement of purpose. You should know which recommendations you want from which professors or which professionals. And you should have made a list of further programs you want to apply to. And making a list in such a way that you have ambitious options, you have moderate options, and safe options. So maintaining good ratio of these three options is a good idea. Then the application deadlines usually begin from November or December, and they can go up till January. So this is for US. For Europe, it's most of the universities have a rolling base admission. So they start their applications from December, January, and they say that as soon as you finish your application, then we'll evaluate it and we'll see if you're a good fit or not. And that can go up till March or May as well. of the next year. So that's like the overall procedure. I talked about what all is required in your application. Apart from that, certain universities have certain specific requirements. So in the case of Stanford, they asked for some more essays related to diversity, like how you can improve to the diversity of the incoming batch. UC Berkeley asked for a video submission. Um, and like the question which they gave us, talk about any impactful project which you had. So these are like minor requirements which universities will require here and there.
Okay, so I wanted to ask what all other universities did you apply for?
So I had around 5 options in the US, 1 option in Canada, and 4 in Germany. So in the US, I kept MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, University of Michigan, and University of Illinois. So these are my 5 options in the US. In Canada, I was applying to University of Toronto, and in Europe, TU Delft, RWTH, TU Munich, and EPFL Lausanne. So these were my like 10 shortlisted programs. Ultimately, I ended up applying to only 5 because some of these had like deadlines later than January. And by mid-January, I kind of received a positive mail from UC Berkeley. So I realized that if I got an admit, like it was around 90% confirmed that I would get an admit in Berkeley. So I did not apply to the other programs.
Oh, that's great. So all of them you applied for masters only, right?
Yeah, for 8 of these programs were MS in mechanical or Meng in mechanical, Master of Engineering. For Germany, I had applied to computational science and simulation science programs because they need mechanical engineers and their program is in English. Their MS and Mech program was in German.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Also, what I could gather from this is that one of the two most important exams for going abroad were this graduate record examination that you talked about and the test of English as a foreign language exam. So, do you have any advice about how to prepare, from where to prepare, and any particular YouTube channels or any courses that one must do for these?
So for TOEFL or IELTS, which are the English proficiency tests,
Yeah.
um, just going through some YouTube channels are enough. I'll recommend Greg Matt, then Noteful, and yeah, there's one more which I can't remember right now. TST, I think it's TST. So these are like the free resources, YouTube channels which you can go through. If you're not too confident about these exams, you want to go for a paid version, then I'd recommend Best My Test. So that was a program which I bought. It's for 3,000 rupees for I think a couple of months, and that resource gives you like access to hundreds of questions from each of these 4 sections. Then they evaluate your essays and all. So that kind of helped me in boosting my score a little. So that was for TOEFL. GRE, the best resource is Greg Matt again from YouTube. So his free YouTube videos are like really good for GRE, and he's got like some paid resources as well, which is only for $5. Um, for GRE, if you want to go for a paid course, then Magoosh, 1 month or 6 month course is good enough, but it's a little on the expensive side.
Okay. Thank you so much for the information.
Yeah, so another question for you. You focused, like in your internships, you focused on research and product development internships, right? At Hiroshima University, Boston Scientific, and ISRO. So, like, what made you choose them? And if you could, like, tell what all did you do in each internship?
So ISRO, I talked about, it was mostly related to a mix of design and robotics. Um, in my Boston Scientific internship, which was the end of third year summer, it was related to medical devices as a field. And within that, I was again involved in product design and development. So in Boston Scientific's internship, I was involved in improving their endoscope. So it's a device that goes into your bile duct to kind of diagnose and treat certain bile-related diseases. And they had a certain issue which doctors pointed out in the device that they're having trouble navigating it inside the body. And like one part of my internship was kind of learning their routine, how they go about the product design and development process, documentation part and all. And the second part was like giving me a free hand, think of whatever you can in improving the device, make certain drafts. And if you think that, an idea is good enough, just talk to us and we'll see if it can be implemented. So in that second half, like I gave them a couple of ideas, they liked two of them, and then we converted that into a patent. We converted one of those into a patent. So that was Boston Scientific. Hiroshima University wasn't exactly related to product design. Um, that was a thesis which I kind of got in the starting of my third year. And at that time, I had kind of was interested in robotics. I wanted to explore robotics more in detail. So in Hiroshima, my project was mostly to simulate a four-legged hopping robot, um, which is like a dog robot, basically, which Boston Dynamics made earlier. They wanted to replicate that in the lab. And since it was online, like I couldn't get the visa to go there because of COVID. Like all I was involved in was simulating it um, in Open Dynamics engine and checking various algorithms, seeing if it makes the robot stable or not.
So that seems really interesting, especially like the work you did for the medical internship. It's pretty interesting. And another question for you. It's very interesting that you're also a co-founder of a startup that you did, which specifically focused on queues and crowding and poor user experience in food courts. So, like, how was your experience being an entrepreneur also? Like, it's very commendable that you actually like co-founded a startup also. Yeah, John.
Yeah, so the motivation for that came from my roommate. It wasn't exactly my brains behind it. And like there was a course called New Venture Creation. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but that course literally forces you to create a startup on your own, and you get grades based on how well you do your research, how well you make the idea or the business model behind it. So, like, our motivation was to just take that course because we thought like it's really good. We get to network a lot and didn't have any midsummer companies, so that was like a big thing. Um, then, yeah, the course ended. We thought that the idea is good. Let's take it a full time. We'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, we also participated in a couple of competitions within BITS, outside BITS. We got a chance to visit IT Delhi, ISP. We won a couple of competitions. So I think in terms of that experience, getting some, I'll say like extracurricular things in my resume, that was a pretty good thing. And towards the end, like we could not really scale up our idea. Then we decided, and also like our co-founding team had different motivations by the time we reached third year. Everyone wanted to do different things. So we decided to like call it quits, and focus on other things in our life. So the startup ended up failing, but I think like the experience or the learning behind it is something which I had mentioned in my statement of purpose as well. So good thing which kind of linked my entrepreneurial adventure to Stanford is that Stanford is also known for its startups. And like the original entrepreneurship course was started in Stanford only. So kind of linking my entrepreneurial activities to that was kind of a big thing. I think that was one huge point which helped me in my applications.
That's pretty great insight. And Stanford also focuses on entrepreneurship, like it encourages entrepreneurship a lot, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when I was checking your LinkedIn, so I saw that you were the runner-up for the paper presentation event during Apogee 2021. So what was your research paper about? Can you let us know a bit?
So at that time, the paper which we presented in Apogee was mostly related to computer vision. Um, we analyzed like different advertisements of brands in India, and we kind of linked the colors which they use to color psychology, which is present in literature. Um, so like the analysis and all we did through computer vision and k-means clustering and presented that in Apogee. But I did not really mention that a lot in my resume, just because of the fact that it's a field which I did not want to get into. So it's not really related to mechanical engineering as such. It started off as a fuel soft. So yeah, it wasn't much related. Another publication which I did, like it's currently under review, about to be published soon. So that was more related to sustainability and the stubble burning crisis. And we did a simple data analysis of correlating um, to pollution at certain periods of time, and we kind of gave like a solution to it. So that publication, I feel that was more related to mechanical, more related to sustainability in general, and that is something like which I put in my resume a little more in detail.
You've actually done quite a variety of things, and the most I appreciate the most is that you thought about sustainability and how nature is being impacted. So, being in mechanical engineering and thinking about nature and sustainability and preservation at the same time is just mind blowing.
Yeah, so we wanted to ask you for advice for our first years and second years on like how do you navigate and how do you make a goal and then try to achieve it? Because a lot of people tell us that oh you should try out everything in your first year and second year and then decide. But so do you agree with that or like what advice do you have for us?
I'll kind of reword that advice a little bit. Instead of trying everything, explore everything. So there's like a big difference between those two. Um, don't, as a first year, like don't just stick to a particular field or particular interest and say that this is what you want. Because ultimately, by the time you reach a second or third year, you'll tell to yourself that you're not interested in it anymore. So a lot of people when they join BITS, they come with the set of pre-notions that a particular field is better than some other field. Um, so as a first year, right, like you should not really focus on that a lot. Um, and a lot of first yearites also think that even this I used to think when I was in first year that you don't have enough time. You should like start everything, do everything from first year itself. Um, which is not true because you have like your second year, your third year, and your final year as well, and there is ample time to do everything, to like change your field, to work on something you're interested in. So in your first year, you should like explore everything, explore your courses, explore your hobbies, your extracurriculars, see what you like more, see what you don't like, cancel out things which you don't like at all, which you do not find interesting. Um, and then you pick up a certain areas which you think are interesting. Like don't think about career in your first year, think about what interests you the most and what you're actually passionate about. And then in your second year, see how you can develop on it. It could either be within your coursework which you're doing, or it could be in certain electives, or it could be like completely different. Um, so the interests which you select for your second year, explore that in more in detail. Maybe participate in events or competitions. Um, check if you can get freelancing opportunities if you're interested in that space. So yeah, that is something which you can do in second year. Aside from all this, get a good CGPA because no matter how many people tell you if it's important or not important, I feel that it is important. Like having a good CGPA can open a lot of doors. Having a decent or a low CGPA can open certain doors. I won't deny that, but you'll have to work extra hard for it. So in your first year, second year, if you get a good CGPA, then a certain academic burden like reduces a lot by the time you come in your third year. Yep, that's it.
Yes. Keeping goals and passion aside, one very important thing in life is support of good people, of friends. So, who are all the people that helped you in your journey, and how much grateful you are to them?
Um, I think first would be my parents. Grateful for not pushing me into anything. I think the openness which I had, to do whatever I want, that helped a lot. Even though they wanted me to get into finance, which they still do. So that's one. Then yeah, my roommates, my first year, second year roommates, both had like different aspirations in life, and I got like different perspectives from both of them, into like what they're interested in, what they're doing, and the research which they've done in their field. Um, then yeah, a lot of inspiration came from my seniors, my immediate seniors, alumni. So I network a lot on LinkedIn. I keep asking them for various advice, and I think that the BITS network is a pretty big deal, and a lot of help you can just receive easily from seniors and alumni. So that was like really important. And yeah, my professors as well. So there were a couple of professors whom I worked with, um, my internship mentors as well. They gave me like really good recommendations for my applications. At the same time, like they kind of guided me not just in my academics, but in other things that I could do, like as co-curriculars in my free time. So just talking to them, um, whenever I was free, that really helped a lot.
That was great. And since you mentioned the applications once again, so I had missed a question. So I want you to throw some light on the importance of statement of purpose and any advice for students on how to write a good SOP.
So SOP is really important, like more important than your profile and what all internships and all that you did, because your CV just shows, where you did certain things, but your SP shows your motivation, your character. Um, for people who can't really talk to you, can't really see you face to face, and SOP kind of describes everything. So that's how important SOP is, and I've noticed like a lot of people think that SOP is just an extended CV. So I've seen good SOPs, I've seen bad SOPs, and there are people who had really good profiles, who did like internships in top places, have 5, 6 publications, but because of the SOP, they didn't get those admits. Only because in the SOP they mentioned what all they did, what all publications they had, what internships they went to. That's not really the purpose of an SOP. It's a statement of purpose. So purpose means like why you did what you did, what are your motivations, what all would you want to do in the future, why did you take those projects, or why did you publish those papers. Not just because you are doing it for your CV, but then um, let's say if you did something in sustainability, or passion or your goal could be helping the environment or helping people, that really stands out in your application. So a good SOP does not, like, it can mention what all you did here and there, but it also mentions why you did it and how it relates to your future goals, and how you feel like the program or the university you're applying to can help you achieve those goals. So that means that your SOP has to be tailored to each and every program or to each and every university you're applying to. You need to mention about what are the courses which you can take, and link them to your past experiences. Then talk about any particular professors you'd like to work with, how the research done by these profs motivated you even further. And they are also looking at how you can help the university, not just how the university can help you. So it's a two-way process. So that's also something which you'll need to show in your SP. So in short, it's a story of your life. It's not just your CV, it's a story.
Thank you so much, Kanish. That was very informative. Uh,
I wanted to ask one more question. So the Stanford GSP asks its applicants a question which it asks, what matters most to you and why? So, like, did they ask you a similar question? Or, like, if they asked you this, what would you answer to this?
So the program which I applied to, did not really ask this. They asked three questions. One question was like, how can you contribute to the diversity of the incoming batch? The second question was related to your past experiences, which was kind of just like a copy paste from one or two paragraphs from SOP. And the third was like, what are your professional goals after Stanford or like 10 years from now? So these are the questions that Stanford asked me. I remember for UC Berkeley, I had a video interview with one of the senior students, and they asked kind of similar, like general questions that you get from HR, like where do you see yourself 5 years? How do you think UC Berkeley or the program can help you achieve those goals? Um, any instances of leadership or working with a team. So yeah, the reason UC Berkeley took that interview was the program which I applied to over there was more professional nature. So it was Masters in Engineering, and they have like this whole side course on leadership, kind of integrated with their Haas School of Business. So in programs like that, if you're applying to like those type of programs, then you might be expected to answer those type of questions. But if you're applying to like research-based or thesis-based MS programs, then you might not really have to answer questions related to your leadership or your business acumen.
Yeah, so we'll conclude this interview here. It was very nice having you here, and it was a great pleasure talking to you. And we've obviously gained a lot of insight on how to go about things and how do you uh, do better in your career. So, like, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you, Kanishk.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you like our content, then do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any future updates. Also follow our Instagram page, the link of which is given in the description box below. Thank you and stay tuned for the upcoming content.